I'm joined by Joana Baptista today. Joana, welcome to WeCan. You
Thanks for having
are
me.
you're a social entrepreneur, activist, and speaker. You are passionate about equality, inclusion, and making the world a better place, which couldn't align more with us. You're a 3 times TEDx speaker, did many other notable talks, an Oxford alumni, received countless awards such as the Diana Award and many others. You sit on the youth board for the Peter Jones Foundation here in the UK. You're a Queen's Commonwealth Trust Ambassador, a Conduit Social Impact Fellow, and your newest job is with Decagon, and you'll tell us more about that. They're an AI customer service agent. You're ex-McKinsey, ex-Apple. You founded She Dot, where you produce socially conscious storybooks. You co-founded Unipier, where you help disadvantaged students get into Oxford University. So talk to us about those pivotal points that got you to where you are today.
Yes, when you say it like that, I'm getting tired just listening to myself with all of these things. No, I mean, yeah, again, thanks for having me. I think that the common theme throughout everything that I do is rooted in one, a value, and B, kind of like a critical flaw, which is that I cannot leave well enough alone and I cannot leave a problem unsolved. If I see something that is wrong or that I think could be done better, like I am very bad at sitting and saying someone else will solve that. And instead, I go all guns blazing and decide that I'm going to be the one to fix that, which ties in with my values then that I care very, very much about equal opportunity, about ability to aspire, and the ability and the mandate that everyone should have the opportunity and the means to contribute to the world, and not have a barrier be the reason that they cannot do that. So I kind of tend to live by the motto, make money, do good, in my career, which is to say that I hate to work or do anything or spend time on any initiative that is not contributing meaningfully as well as enabling people's livelihoods, right? We live in a society where like we cannot just do something purely out of the goodness of our hearts with no sort of way to sustain our lives. And so a lot of those pivotal moments that you're asking me about, I think, come down to times when a combination of luck, hard work, opportunity match up, where I find a cause that I care about and that means a lot to me, that there is a clear problem statement that I feel equipped to solve, and there is the ability and the structure in order for me to do that. For example, let's say that it's starting my business. Like a lot of times, each time that I've started a business has been because there was a hackathon that I attended, or a group of friends at school that had a similar issue to me, or it was during COVID and I had spare time. Every time that I've joined a youth panel or a youth board, it's because so and so has introduced me, or this is the thing that I really care about searching and finding. And so it's like that collection and meeting point of causes that I care about, inability to just let someone else do it instead. And all of that comes down to a passion to like improve the world and leave it in a better place to how I found it.
Joanna, I know that you were an amazing student. You went to an incredible school. You got into Oxford. You've always had the values and the urgency to do something about challenges that you saw that we faced as humanity. Talk to us a little bit about what kind of a world would you like to be a part of? What is your ideal scenario that you feel you're putting your time and resources toward?
Yeah, I think there's my wish list is very long, but generally, I feel like I was born into a position of privilege to have been born in a country not at war, in a very like in a country with lots of opportunities for good access to education, good infrastructure, good travel opportunities. Learning the English language is my native language, which allows me to communicate in many countries. Parents who cared about my education. I went to a girls' school. I was able to build my confidence without feeling knocked down. And of course, all of these other fantastic privileges you've described, such as going to Oxford, etc., and having access to these things. And recognizing that immense privilege and then seeing how many other people have had to overcome so many more significant challenges than I have had to reach the same, further, less far, quote unquote, places in life. It fills me with a motivation to ensure that everyone is able to have what we might call a smooth sailing path towards whatever is their ambition. When I was much younger, I used to go to the local primary school with disadvantage, like the local disadvantaged primary school. We would teach kids how to read. And I remember there was one girl who said, "Oh, like, what do you want to study? Where do you want to study?" And I said, I want to study economics at Oxford. And she said, "Oh, I don't think that like a person like me can go and do that." And it always sticks out to me that like no one should feel like they are not the person who can go and do this thing. So whether it's setting up Unipier to help students apply to Oxbridge, whether it's rewriting storybooks with a modern twist to highlight different stereotypes and encourage people to think outside of the kind of societal norms, like whatever those are, it's always with the aim in mind of having every single person feel like they can do anything that they put their mind towards, which I think I've had the privilege of feeling in my life. And I know that others don't have that same privilege.
Joanna, so what would you say are your sort of main learnings and all of the things you do? And you do so much and you've done so much from such a young age. So talk to us a little bit about that, the learnings, the lessons learned that you feel that you can really pass on to younger people. There is an enormous amount of young people who feel the desire to have an impact and don't really know how to go about it, and also feel that, who are they to think that they could make a change?
Absolutely. I think that that is so common, not only amongst young people, but like with everyone.
Everybody.
Who am I to be the person who should do this? I think, well, who are you not to? Also, who is the most qualified to do this? But no one is really. We're all just humans floating around, like doing our best, the same way that when I was young, I used to think parents know everything. And then you get older and you realize parents are just parenting for the first time as well, like what do any of us really know about anything? What does the big tech CEO know about big tech until they started this company? Maybe not a lot. I think that that my friends often say to me in a bit of a joking way, like, Joanna, like you have this confidence to be able to just like sell your story and own the things that you are good at, and uh, also own the things that you are less good at, but in a way that is positive. And honestly, I think that comes down to the fact that no one is going to sell you except for you. And everyone has something in life that they feel confident to make an I am statement about. I am good at this, I'm good at that. Everyone has something. Maybe it's I'm funny or I'm kind or I'm empathetic. And then the question is, what made you realize that you were this thing? And okay, if you've gone to Oxford, why are you then shy to say that you've gone to Oxford? Because you have concretely done that thing. Is it because of guilt? Is it because you faced imposter syndrome? Is it because you didn't feel like you should have gone there? And so then I think, what would make me not believe anymore that I am kind, that I am funny, that I am this? Is it other people? Is it myself? And ultimately, the brain is a very powerful place. And the more we practice championing ourselves and our causes and going for opportunities, the more that seems normal. So for me, it doesn't even faze me. I'm the first person who is happy to cold apply to any program or opportunity and sell myself if I have to. And that has honestly been my biggest lesson is, if you don't ask, you don't get. If you don't try, you don't succeed. If you don't take a shot, you don't score.
Yeah.
And okay, I should probably not go and try to qualify for the Olympics in 2 years' time, but I probably should go and apply for that new job opportunity, which is a little bit out of reach, which maybe needs a little bit more experience. Um, and if you can get over that fear of not getting something or being told no or feeling like you're not good enough for something, then you will prove yourself wrong and right in so many things more than you expect.
Joanna, so you have loved the STEM subjects ever since you were young. What do you feel has that given you? There is thankfully a rising sort of percentage of girls in STEM. There's a lot of women out there who sort of promote that and market that. And so, what do you feel has that given you in your current position?
Yeah, I find it really interesting to talk about because I do a lot of STEM-based panels, conversations, youth board participation, etc. And again, people in my life will say to me, Joanna, but you don't actually work, you don't have a STEM job title.
Mm.
Or at least very much I didn't used to. And I said, yeah, that's true. But like, you don't have to be a coder to like STEM. You don't have to be an engineer to be good at STEM. It's involved in all of our jobs in some way. And especially in this day and age, you cannot do any job without being touched by STEM technology, maths in some way. Even when you go to the supermarket, if you're trying to figure out you need to spend over a minimum threshold to get a discount coupon, guess what? You're doing maths. So it impacts all of us. And over time in my career, I have grown more and more towards tech as my kind of like official job. I went from being a consultant at McKinsey, where my tech involvement was to do projects with tech companies, and where I used to uh, use our own internal ChatGPT style situation through to being a data scientist at Apple, where I worked in a tech company and I was doing a lot of Excel scripts to now working at an AI forward startup where my day is spent prompting and fine-tuning LLMs to perform for AI agents. So increasingly more so driven by technology. And what I love about it is that in my life, I am not a very deterministic person. I love to operate at the kind of like breadth versus depth to get all in on everything and have my fingers in many pies. And I love how when I then switch to tech and I'm coding or I am just reviewing or I'm in that world, there is like definitive answers and the satisfaction of finally getting something right is really, really powerful and different to what I do in the rest of my life. So that's something that I really love about it.
Joanna, so do you have any sort of, I mean, you have very big visions, right? You're someone who you just said you strive on the breadth versus the depth. But then each step where you go in depth gives you the next step to get to that breadth. So what do you feel the future will look like at the sort of intersection of tech and social impact and the things that you are interested in?
Yeah, I think that the more pervasive technology is, and the faster we roll it out with zero caution, the bigger the risks we are exposing ourselves to. Like every time I go and use ChatGPT or equivalent, which by the way is a lot,
Mm.
firstly I think about all of the government institutions, arms dealers, uh, investors that ChatGPT is either investing in or has had investment from, and I feel guilty using it. Every time I use an LLM, I think about all of the deforestation and all of the insane energy consumption we are driving. Whenever I think about when I type in, electrician into these agents and they default to assume that it's a man, and I think about the surveillance technology and the legal practices that we are using AI in, I think about all of the stereotypes that we are rolling out that we already have as humans, but are now going into a black box. And all of these are really so scary that if you stop to think about them too much, like it's almost stops you in your tracks and you just
Yeah.
cannot continue with your day and with your life. At the same time, AI empowers us to do so many things that we couldn't do and helps us mobilize social justice initiatives that otherwise we didn't have time for or were difficult to articulate, or they just unlock a productivity, right? And that is the rose and thorn of every single new innovation. I think the one thing that I would love to equip and my personal, I guess, social action mission for technology is to help people not be afraid and just
Mm,
default to not using, and instead equip them with the ability to effectively use or educationally choose not to and opt out, not because they're scared of it and they don't understand it, but because they've consciously made that decision to not engage. And to just help people feel empowered. I think that like knowledge and education is one of the most important things, and also can be very limited and exclusive, but doesn't have to be. So I think with knowledge and wider spread knowledge also brings more knowledge of the downsides, which helps us rally together to increase the upsides.
yeah. What does success look like for you, Joanna?
I originally wanted this sort of grand goal of my name up in lights and everyone to know what my name was, and to be that kind of like big famous. I wanted to be the next Michelle Obama, but I wasn't the wife of somebody important. I just was somebody important. And, I like that, but it's a bit of an egotistical thing, really. And comes from a place of like like sensitivity from like how I grew up at school and not being popular and all these things, and to show them like, and I told you so. But these days, what really matters to me is I would have felt like I would have failed in life if on my deathbed, if when I retire, if whatever, I don't feel like I have contributed in a net positive way to this world. If I've detracted from existence, like why was I here in the first place? What purpose did I come to bring if I have contributed negatively? So I always try to think about what I am doing, and is this in service of a greater good, or am I actively damaging and harming more people than I'm helping at any given point?
Yeah, that's amazing. So, what plans and goals do you have, Joanna?
I think that about a year and a bit ago, I left McKinsey to join Apple. And when I did that, I left before I was expecting to. And I left without thinking that I was going to come back, which originally I had always thought that I was going to go back to McKinsey. And it was a massive learning moment for me, because it was the first time that my life plan was really significantly challenged. Until that point, everything that I had done was in service of this plan that I'd always had.
Mm,
Um, and so now, over a year later, now that I've not gone back to consulting, now that I haven't gone and done my MBA straight away right now, I am learning to set goals that are less rigid and more kind of like to do with experiences. So I do not ever want to be in a job where I'm not learning every day and I'm learning new skills. And I don't ever want to work at a place where I find the morals reprehensible and I just cannot support who the leaders are. I want to make sure that whatever I do, I always have time to contribute outside of my day-to-day job. Like, it seems impossible to me that there are people who do absolutely nothing aside from go to work and come back home and watch TV. I will always want to do extra things, whether that is supporting young kids, whether that is raising money for so and so, whether that's doing things like this, and having active discussions. It's super important to me to always be able to do that. And all in service of making sure that everyone has equal opportunity to dream, that they're able to achieve. And I think that that continues to be my dream as well, that anything that I really care about, I feel motivated enough and I'm able to work in service of that.
Joanna, as you're talking, I'm thinking, when was it that you found that confidence to stand up for the things that you believe in, to become a global speaker and find your tribe?
Yeah, you know what? I don't know. I think that I often get asked a lot what how I have the confidence to public speak, which I think is really interesting because I'm a very socially anxious person in life. And do you know what? I think when I was really, really young, like maybe 11 or 12, my mum took me to my very first hackathon where I sat in the back of the room and listened to adults create pitches around different new technologies that they were going to launch over this weekend. And some adults said, "Hey, do you want to like maybe help us jot down some ideas?" And they were really supportive and empathetic of like this random 12-year-old stuck in the back of the room, and they involved me, and we ended up winning that competition off. And the confidence that they instilled in me that I could do it too, and the subsequent adults in my life who were like, sure, this is an ordinary extracurricular to take this kid to pitch competitions, um, helped me have enough experiences that by the time I got old enough to feel judged and start questioning myself and why I was doing these things, I already felt confident pitching.
Mhm.
I was pitching left, right, and center for like 12 to 15. And when I then started getting socially anxious at school or realized that I was super not very cool at school, okay, I was scared of socially interacting with my classmates, but I was not scared of getting up on a stage because I'd done it so many times, and I had always been told that I deserved and to be there and had something to say. Um, and also I'm autistic, so to some degree, like this idea of I shouldn't be doing this or I'm not good enough at this or who am I to get myself involved in here doesn't really compute as normally in my brain, and I'm just like, why not? You know what I mean? Like this thing matters to me, and I cannot have a moral code that says this is good or bad if I'm not brave enough to speak up about what is good or bad, because I probably don't care enough in that case.
Yeah, thank you. That was amazing. I'm wondering, you've been in a lot of inspiring rooms with incredible grown-ups for a long time. What does it feel like to be a young person in the world right now, where your future is decided by people that are decidedly very different from you?
Yeah, it's a really interesting point to be in as well right now because when I was much, much younger, again, like 11, 12, 13, I got a lot of daylight from adults who would love to include me, who would invite me into the room. I think because they felt I was a bit of a charity case and they felt good doing these things. And so I was in these rooms, but I was not taken seriously. I
Mm.
was there just to help them feel better that they were doing these things. Then when I was a bit older and I was trying to get taken seriously and I had some momentum under my wings, I was, doing TED Talks or launching businesses. This was probably the point at which everyone was like, what are you doing? Like, you have no anything to your name. Why should we give you any airtime? And you know what? Like, I naturally find myself almost instinctually wanting to do the same because when you're an adult, you do say, "Oh, you're 15, you don't understand the world." And like, yes, but also there is no one who understands a young person's experience better than a young person.
Yeah.
And there are so many things that they know that you do not know because you are aged. I also no longer know the slang, know how to best uh, break the TikTok algorithm. So if I wanted to do TikTok marketing, I should probably go and find someone who is on TikTok all the time.
Yeah.
And now that I am officially an adult, but hopefully still, fingers crossed, a young adult, I am starting to get back in the door and taken seriously as someone who is working and being paid to share my opinion and share my work. And yet now there's a hierarchy that I have to
Mm.
follow and I have
Mm.
to abide by. And I'm not getting those skips up to the top like I would have when I was much younger because we're doing something just to like feel better. I now have to prove myself a lot more. So there never seems to be a win.
Yeah.
At any point, which goes back to the lesson that no one will ever hand an opportunity at your feet and say, I believe in you for absolutely no reason, go and do this thing. And life never promises us anything. And we always have to make our voices heard. And as young people, one of the best things is that we have the confidence and the tenacity to do that in a way that when you get older and you get aged, you kind of tend to back away from a bit.
Yeah, I think that was really important what you just said, because I feel that there is a lot of young people out in the world that feel that there is decisions being taken every day, whether that's in politics or in our business world, that shapes their futures, and it just doesn't represent them. You know, if we look at Brexit and if we look at the situation that we're in now and the push to the right, etc., etc. So I love that you say young people need to explore what they believe in. They need to make their voices heard, and they need to get out there and grab every opportunity to do that. So what takeaways would you like our listeners to have from your story, Joanna?
I want people to learn from the things that I do not find easy, which, or the things that I have learned the hard way recently, which is that nothing lands at your door.
Mm.
And you always will have to put effort into something. Maybe a seed lands, maybe you go on a walk and you pick up a flower and there's a seed there. So you have that seed, you've been given that, but it's not going to grow on its own. Or maybe you have a fantastic plot of soil, but you have no seed. Whatever it is, there is always going to have to be active work on your part. But the good news is that when you care about something, that bit is easy. And if it feels hard, you've not found the right thing for you yet. And then practice believing that you are the right person to solve that issue. And just think like, okay, a professional chef will be better at cooking this dinner than me. But a professional chef is not going to cook my dinner. So I'm the right person to cook my dinner. And that can be the same for anything. If you have an idea, okay, you may not be the world expert on helping refugees, but you might have one who lives down the road from you and you know their experience. So you are the right person to help. And I just want them to know as well that a lot of people then or look and have this kind of like comparison as the thief of joy moment of like this, she's already so far ahead, she's already done this, that, or the other. I'll never be there. How do I do that? If I look back, I can pinpoint all of the individual moments which snowballed into the opportunities that I now have today.
Mm.
And your job is to collect these individual moments that together will catalyze into a bigger movement. And it feels kind of like shots in the dark at first. It feels tiring and to 0 point right now. But when they start to add up, they will start to snowball into something much bigger and much faster than you realize.
Joanna, I'm so excited to have you and your story and your insights. You're an amazing role model who leads powerfully by example. I love your values, your urgency. I love your motto. I love all the snowball little experiences of your life that took you where you are today, and taking that out into the world and talking about it and inspiring young people and motivating them to go for it. What, dear listener, what is your net positive way to contribute?